Hi, good day everyone. So we are now in our third topic, which is about the benefits derived from ethics and social responsibilities. And these benefits are the following six subtopics that we will be discussing for today's lesson. My name is Mika Meiti Del Moro, and I will be the first discussant for today's lesson. And before we proceed to the actual discussion, let me first share with you an overview of our topic and let us define the ethics and social responsibilities by watching this short video clip. Employee and stakeholders' moral judgment is highly influenced by a company's culture. Every employee is encouraged to speak and act honestly and ethically by organizations that seek to build a strong sense of company's ethical culture. So, why do companies implement social responsibilities and ethics? This is because they see numerous benefits, such as extra advantages over competing businesses and an increase on their company's basis. So the question now here is, how do we incorporate ethics and social responsibility to create a more ethical organizational culture in the workplace? First is by developing a mission and objective. One of the first steps is to craft a mission and objective that support ethics and social responsibility. This is crucial to thoroughly consider such principle because they serve as the foundation for all the goals and activities that the company performs. This is by creating and maintaining core values. So these core values may include integrity, kindness, openness, humility, community, knowledge, growth, transparency. So having such core values helps in reinforcing the company's mission and showing how they intend to uphold its social standards. The third one is by considering ethics during the hiring process. Kung ang purpose ng company mo or one of its goal is to create an ethical environment, an ethical workplace, why not start with the people that you are putting in that environment? Ethical employees helps in building a strong sense of positive culture. Employing professionals who can effectively impact society on behalf of their companies is also crucial since these employees represent the organizations that they work in. Employees should look for candidates that share their core values and support the company's mission during the hiring process. So, dapat pag-hire pa lang is na nalaman na natin kung sino ba yung mga applicants na merong mga ethical values. Advantageous siya kung yung ethical values that they have is aligned with the ethical values of your company. Next is by being a role model and be visible. This lies the concept of leading by example. Your employees look to the behavior of top management as a model of what's acceptable behavior in the workplace. When the senior management is observed by its subordinates to take the ethical high road, it sends a positive message for all the employees. So, activities na ginagawa mo on your company is what they take as an example kung ano ba yung mga activities na kailangan nilang gawin that are considered morally right. Fifth one is by communicating ethical expectations. Ang concept lang dito is employees or all the people inside that organization should know ano ba yung ina-expect sa kanila ng top management. So, a code of ethics for the organization can be written and distributed to help eliminate ethical dilemmas. So, ang ethical dilemmas, these are the issues po na nahihirapan tayong mag-decide kasi we have to weigh the options. Also have to consider yung consequences when we choose the other option over the another. So, it should outline the organization's culture or core ideals as well as the moral guidelines that workers are required to abide by. But keep in mind that a code of ethics is useless if top management doesn't act ethically. Kanila dapat nagsisimula yung activities that are abiding the code of ethics of your company. The sixth one is focusing on the impact in the local community. So, local communities are the foundations of the society. Businesses that pay close attention to the community they serve can have a significant impact on the locals. A business can broaden its beneficial influence on a local group by raising social awareness on a modest scale. Dito kasi siya nagsistart sa small scale of influence. So this group is then motivated to spread that compassion by lending a hand to others. There are businesses kasi na may iba't ibang branch. So on each of that location, they should also consider kung paano sila makakatulong on that specific neighbor. Next is by offering ethics training. So set up seminars, workshops, and similar ethical training programs. Use these training sessions to reinforce the organization's standards of conduct, to clarify what practices are and are not permissible, and to address possible ethical dilemmas. Sa seminars, mga workshops, and similar programs, dito nakaklarify natin kung ano ba yung mga ethical issues na kailangan natin i-address, ayun ano ba yung mga ethical dilemmas, and how can we resolve such issues para maklarify din sa iba nating employees kung ano yung pwede nilang gawin. 8 is by visibly rewarding ethical acts and punish those unethical ones. Managers' performance reviews should contain a point-by-point analysis of how their judgment compared to the organization's code of ethics. So every activity, every acts of the employees, and all of these persons inside an organization, magbe-base tayo sa code of ethics. So evaluations must take into account both the aims themselves and the methods used to achieve them. So kailangan daw malaman natin yung purpose on why that specific activity is done, as well as kung paano ba siya nagawa. So people who behave ethically ought to get clear rewards for their actions. And then, the need to penalize unethical behavior is equally vital. So, dito na papasok yung mga sanctions or punishments na pwedeng kaharapin ng doer of the unethical behavior. Next is by providing protective mechanisms. So, the organization needs to provide formal mechanisms so that employees can discuss ethical dilemmas and report unethical behavior without fear of reprimand. One of the roles ng company, one of its function is to create such mechanisms na mapoprotektahan natin yung mga nagre-report ng unethical behavior. So, para maging safe yung environment natin sa pagdidiscuss ng mga unethical dilemmas and ethical issues. So, this might include creation of ethical counselors, ombudsmen, or ethical officers. So, eto dito rin papasok yung segregation of duties wherein we can set up a set of officers na mag-focus entirely on that specific concerns sa kung paano ba yung decision making when it comes to unethical dilemmas. Lastly is by supporting environmentally and socially conscious initiatives. One of the main aspects of being socially responsible is supporting progressive societal efforts. This may include labor policies, reducing carbon footprint, waste disposals and reductions, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the use of sustainable production practices. This is CNSC. What we have here is the CLAGO policy or the Clean As You Go policy. Pagdating dyan sa labo, there is a policy there na kailangan kapag pumupunta ka sa market is you have a bag with you kasi hindi sila magbibigay ng plastic. These are one of those na nakakatulong sa ating environment. And in a sense na encourage natin yung ibang tao to do the same.
Hello everyone, I'm Rinalyn Biman Namtap along with Mr. Gerald Oliver, and we'll be tackling the second subtopic of our lesson, which is about the formal mechanisms from monitoring ethics. Firstly, let's define what formal means. According to the Oxford Dictionary, formal means officially sanctioned or recognized. For further illustration, this can be associated to a formal complaint, which is then considered legal. In the context of our discussion, formal would mean official procedures, official announcements, and even official documents which are widely recognized by the public. Next, let's define what mechanism means. It is defined as a natural or established process by which something takes place or is brought about. This pertains to the means by which an effect is produced or a purpose is accomplished. In short, when we say mechanism, this means it is a process or a system of procedures that was being followed to accomplish a purpose. Finally, what is formal mechanism? According to Sanger et al., formal mechanisms are observable rules from written documents that can be executed by an authority. So formal mechanisms derive their structure and power from laws, policies, and regulations made by either the government or authorities. In business context and as well as in the government workplace, ethical principles and actions of employees are monitored by the authorized individuals, most commonly by those in higher positions. They are monitoring ethics specifically with the use of code of conduct as their basis or guidance in monitoring. Importance of formal mechanisms in ethics. It is stated that formal mechanisms have the potential to facilitate the implementation of ethical principles. This means that they create coherence in the entire implementation. Additionally, it creates favorable relationships with other organizations and among the individuals within. Lastly, they establish long-term relationships between the people involved.
Businesses with strong workplace ethics add value to the organization and support an environment where employees feel safe and valued, where leaders can help create an ethical workplace culture that benefits shareholders, the organization, and the people of the company. Misconduct for employees and organization can range from conflicts of interest that create a hostile work environment and violating the company regulations, falsifying timesheets, lying to employees, customers, vendors, the public, and involvement in corruption like bribery and receiving illegal political gifts. So, as you can see, we have here five um, formal mechanism for monitoring ethics. Number one, engage with the organization personnel. Number two, move with the times. Number three, litmus test. Number four, observe uh, standard metrics. And number five is the time doctor. So now let's go to the number one example. To engage is to carry out a session when creating or updating the code of practices, wherein it's a great way to interact with your employees and ensure that they are abiding by the company's code of conduct. It also allows you to determine whether any of them have a pattern of engaging in an ethical behavior that will undoubtedly affect their ability to perform their duties in the company as a whole. Holding some employees engagement session when developing or updating your policies is similar to treating your clients or consumers. If you want everyone to feel like they are part of the company's vision and values, why not ask them what they would like to see to live a more moral life? To understand its further importance, let us watch this short video clip. Here are two examples. Move with the times. Our customers, clients, and society as a whole will often guide how we run our businesses. They tell us what they want, whether it's more ethically sourced produce, fair wages for suppliers across the globe, or more environmentally friendly policies. They will also be shifting teams that organization concentrate on when it comes to improving their ethical standards, from environmentalism, working with the sustainable resources, and corporate social responsibility, to battling cybercrime and protecting privacy in the digital world we live in now. In addition, your ethics policies and code of conduct needs to reflect the ever-changing world we live in. It should feel inspiring rather than a hindrance because ultimately it's about making your workplace and brand better. Just again, watch the short video clip to understand its deeper meaning.
Listening to customers. Marketing involves listening to as well as talking to customers. Market research techniques can be simple and inexpensive. We can devise methods once we adopt an attitude that yes, we can learn from our customers about their opinions and their ideas. I prefer to use the term listening to customers rather than the term market research, because market research seems to imply in the minds of many people some kind of very expensive, elaborate technique used only by big corporations. And so many smaller businesses say that we don't have the time or money to do market research. However, the main barrier to market research isn't the lack of time or money, it's arrogance. If we believe that we know everything about our business and our customers, then there's no point in listening to customers. If we believe that we know already what customers value, what enhancements they would like, how they think, then clearly there's no point in listening to customers. On the other hand, if we take an attitude that we can learn from customers, that maybe they see things in a different way from us, maybe they have ideas that we don't have, maybe they can tell us what prices they're prepared to pay, what enhancements they would like, then if we take this attitude, it makes sense to listen to customers. We can use our creativity to devise simple, inexpensive, and effective ways to systematically listen to customers. We can ask customers for feedback about our products. We could ask them what they like best. We could ask them to suggest improvements. We could do this in a number of ways. We could have a simple questionnaire, or we could talk to them. We could set up a simple focus group to bring together some customers, or set up an online forum. There are many ways, if we think about it, how we can get these useful ideas and opinions from our most valued customers. In short, we can improve our creative enterprises by listening to our customers and regarding our selected and most important customers as true partners of the business. So thank you for listening. I hope those things were useful. And there's plenty more information, including free resources, that you can find by following the links from the online course to my website and other places. Good luck with your marketing. I wish you every success.
Example number 3, litmus test. A litmus test is an indicator of a company's quality. It is a way for a human mind to decide whether a company is worth trusting. A company's quality and experience are the most important factors in deciding whether a company is worth trusting. It is a way to determine whether a company can be reliable, transparent, and honest. The real litmus test of whether your ethics policy is working and embedded. If an employee feels comfortable enough to speak up if he or she has a concern and whether he or she believes that the company will respond and if need to take appropriate actions. Once an ethics policy is securely embedded in your company, you also have to take into account its wider value chain. So here is a short video showing the different ethics tests that can be done. The number, for example, observes the right metrics or standard metrics. The tools available for workplace monitoring can make it tempting to take the practice to the extreme. But employees monitoring ethics requires you to limit your policy scope. Focus solely on the metrics necessary for the successfully running the business. Standard metrics that are variable and justified include employee productivity, employee performance, and lastly, business-related data, wherein monitoring employee productivity can sometimes be valid for those working remotely. You may want to track what website your staff visiting, help them avoid time-wasting traps like social media platforms. And so for employee performance, all businesses benefit from ensuring their employees are performing necessary duties adequately. Monitoring work-related communication and company devices may aid in the goal. For instance, GPS tracking software can keep teams safe and ensure they are not stopping up at places where they shouldn't go while on call. Lastly is the business-related data wherein the personal data such as the credit card info and work message should always remain confidential. Ensure that protecting business assets doesn't override your employees' right to privacy. So let's watch a short video on the uses of business metrics in any organization. For a number 5 example, we have Time Doctor. So what is Time Doctor? Time Doctor is a powerful employee productivity software that helps the employees stay at their productive best. As both large organizations and small medium businesses use Time Doctor to boost their employees' productivity. The Time Doctor productivity softwares help you with number one, automated and manual time tracking for employees' tasks. Number two, tracking employees' web and app usage. Number three, productivity analysis via comprehensive real-time reports. And number four, managing distraction, ensuring your employees are working on their tasks. And some of the powerful features of Time Doctors are number one, manual time clock to ensure the employee's consent. Number two, powerful reporting capabilities. Number three, only track web and app activity during working hours. Number four, employee friendly setting. So let's watch a short video about Time Doctor to understand more about this software.
Good day everyone, my name is Maine Jimenez and I'm here to discuss what is written organizational code of conduct. What is a code of conduct? A code of business conduct is a set of rules that guide people in daily practices and interaction with each others. It's about composing and implementing one can provide significant benefits for a company and ensure that all employees understand what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in one organization. A code of conduct for business is a set of regulations and rules that give employees a definitive guide as to how they are expected to behave within the workplace. In the workplace, a code of conduct may also refer to as a code of business ethics. Some organizations expect their employees to adhere to a code of conduct with many requirements and rules, whereas others are extremely simple. Example of this is the code of conduct are most often included in the employee's handbook and may also be posted on company's website for investor, potential employees, and stakeholders to. Let's talk about the benefits of a code of conduct. It includes providing a guideline for behavior and expectation within the workplace. When discussing job performance, this is one of the first indicators of what is expected. Having this explicitly stated within the organizational handbook, it provides a central reference point. Ensuring all employees are made aware of what is and what is not tolerated at work. Dealing with difficult employees is one of the key sources of workplace conflict. Building awareness around expected behaviors open up avenues for dialogue, communications, and engagement within the workplace. Outlining a company's values and principle. This is a way of showing the uniqueness of the organization and shaping the company structures. It will also play a significant role in improving employee recruitment and retention. Setting clear benchmark as to how employee behavior and performance are measured. Having a clear benchmarks ensure a level field for all employees and gives them the tool to recognize when our actions don't align with the organization goals or values. Informing stakeholders, investors, and potential employees of the company's ethics and standards. Ethics and standards are important to the workplace because they have a direct connections to employees' trust, performance, and satisfactions. Along with this, there are other reasons why a code of business conduct is vital. It serves as means for maintaining compliance, especially in industries where there are specific codes and procedures that must be followed. It has also helped organizations protect themselves from damaging risks. When a company has specific steps to follow, they can demonstrate good faith effort in minimizing or even avoiding unethical or illegal acts. Let's talk about on how to write a code of conduct. First, determine who will be included in the creations of your company's code of conduct. One of the first steps in drafting a code of conduct is determining who will be included in the process. Common individual involved in developing a code of conduct include management, long-term employees, and stakeholders. Many code of conduct are created by upper management and then reviewed by a team of trusted employees as well as any stakeholders that may be affected by the code of conduct. Second, consider past ethical issues before creating your code of conduct. Consider all of the past ethical issues your company has faced and include how this will be prevented in your code of conduct. Additionally, we can also take into account ethical issues that similar businesses have faced and address. This is a way to prevent them from occurring within your organization. Third, create an outline. Determine the components you will include in your code of conduct, including but not limited to conflict of interest, asset protections, company policies, company cultures, attendance expectations, sexual and general harassment and discrimination, cell phone and technology use while in the office, dress code, disciplinary action that may be taken, privacy policy, and equal opportunity, and so on. Once you have chosen the elements to include, outline each sections with the information you feel is most appropriate to your organization. Next is discuss the draft with stakeholders. Once you have outlined the code of conduct, give stakeholders the opportunity to review and discuss its content. Next is compose the final draft. After all stakeholders have had the chance to contribute, you can then compose the final draft for review and publication. Let's talk about the components of a code of conduct. Mission and vision statements and values. Begin with your company's missions and vision statement. A mission statement that defines the organization's business, its objectives, and how it will reach these objectives. A vision statement details where the organizations aspire to go. Why does your company exist? What do you hope to accomplish in the next several years? If you are drafting values for your employees, ensure they stem from and support the mission statement. You can also include a statement on the ethics and professional standards. Next is workplace policies and procedures. Provide a statement on the expectations that employees must adhere to your policies and procedures. Remember that they will vary depend on the business and industry. Some example of common workplace policies include anti-harassment, All employees are required to work in a manner that prevents sexual harassment in the workplace. Financial integrity and compliance. It is described the characteristic of a financial system that operates in a clean, transparent, and accountable way. Example for this is reporting, payroll, business travel, purchasing, and so on. Data privacy. It is the ability of a person to determine for themselves when, how, and to what extent personal information about them is shared with or communicated to the others. Next is communications. It conducts on social media and emails. It is also needs a proper way on how to communicate properly, formality, professionals, and a respect that needs in organizations or a company. Client and business partners code of conduct. Business partner and all persons acting on their behalf must act with integrity, honesty, and fairness in all aspects for their business. Intellectual property and conflict of interest. If a person works for one person and is damaging other people's interests, it is referred to as a conflict of interest. Intellectual property is the result of one's own hard works. A conflict of interest on intellectual property can be avoided by declaring the intent. Industry compliance and regulations indicate the company's expectations that employees comply with industry and government laws and regulations. Disciplinary actions. It includes sections on violations and disciplinary actions. This tells employees how to report violations of the code of conduct or business policies. It is also provide a statement of disciplinary actions for employees who violate the code of conduct or policies, which may also include in verbal warnings, written warnings, suspensions, and even termination.
You overhear some coworkers joking around about a fellow employee. They are mocking that individual because of her national origin and imitating her way of speaking. While you know this behavior is disrespectful, you prefer to ignore it and focus on your job. Is it okay to ignore this? Ignoring disrespectful behavior is allowing discrimination to occur, and therefore you are contributing to harassment in the workplace. That behavior violates the code as well as our company's non-harassment and non-discrimination policy. You have the responsibility to report the incident to your manager or human resources. Our company requires each employee to treat all colleagues in a respectful manner and to forge working relationships that are free of bias, prejudice, and harassment. We do not practice discrimination, nor do we permit harassment of any kind.
And now for the enlightenment of these topics, let's talk about the first about code of conduct. What is the difference between a code of ethics and a code of conduct? A code of ethics is a high-level guide that speaks to company values and moral. It is about providing professionals with a framework for honesty and integrity. It is a set of principles that dictates on about how actions should be judged, and a code of conduct guides professionals on how they should act. It provides more details on specific rules and policy regarding broader beliefs. Who writes the code of conduct? Human resources teams. In most cases, the human resources teams create the employees' code of conduct in collaborations with the executives, managers, and employees. This is a code of conduct related to company cultures. A well-written code of conduct influences workplace communications and relationship within the frameworks. It influences how employees relate to each others by fostering this belief systems, which defines behavior and standardize companies' cultures.
Good day, everyone. I am Hannah Grace Ibonya, and I will be discussing leadership by example. Leading is not about dictatorship. Leading is about the fact that people need to be inspired when they work with you. People need to understand that you are a good leader and you are the person that they can learn from. The leader is the person that sheds light at the dark tunnel. If you are a team leader, you are intended to inspire your team members to imitate your work ethics behavior. Be a role model in values and behavior. Leading by example is a leadership style where you model the behavior you want to see in your team members. To state it simple, someone who leads by example lets their actions and not their words do the talking. While they may not be a manager or hold a traditional leadership position, they emulate qualities that others notice and feel compelled to model themselves. The leader typically has some level of influence within a group that inspire them to follow the person's leads.
There's an interesting story about Gandhi where one day a woman and her young son went to go visit him. And this woman had a son that was addicted to sugar. And nothing she or anyone else could do would get this boy to stop eating sugar. Doctors told him to stop, friends told him to stop, family members told him to stop, nothing worked. So she figured, I'll go visit Gandhi, and him being the wise and pious man that he is, my son will surely listen to him. So she waited for a long time to go visit Gandhi, and when she finally gets the chance to meet him, she says, Gandhi, please help me. My son is addicted to sugar. He's not listening to anybody, but he'll surely listen to you. And Gandhi looks at the woman, he looks at the boy, and he says, very well, come back in 2 weeks and we'll see what we can do. The woman was a little confused because she thought, why do I need to come back in 2 weeks? But nonetheless, she did. 2 weeks later, she returns back with her young son and she says, Gandhi, remember me? My son is addicted to sugar. Please tell him to stop. And Gandhi looks at the woman, he looks at the young boy again, and he says, son, you should stop eating sugar. And the woman was very confused. She looked at Gandhi and she said, we were here 2 weeks ago. Why couldn't you just have told him that then? And Gandhi says, well, because 2 weeks ago I myself was addicted to sugar. And how can I tell somebody else to stop doing something when I am doing that same thing? And I think this is a great story about this concept of leading by example. Oftentimes inside of our organizations, we have managers and executives that have certain expectations of other employees inside the organization. And they want those other employees to exhibit certain behaviors, but rarely do those managers and executives themselves exhibit the behaviors that they would like others to demonstrate. And so I think that this is a great story and something that managers and executives should really take to heart, because if you want other people inside of your organization to act and behave in a certain way, start with yourself and see what happens.
What is the importance of leading by example, or why it is important to lead by example? Number one, a great leader knows that their action influences employees' attitude, satisfaction, and performance. It is important to boost the employees' morale. Next is someone who leads by example can expect to receive trust and respect from the team. As a leader, you are a role model for your team, so it's best to put your best foot forward. You are building trust and respect, which will benefit both parties, the organization, and oneself. Businesses that have leaders who walk the talk embody positive work culture daily. This commitment to workplace values inspire a positive work culture and happy employees. Last is, it's easier for teams to be productive when they see their leader doing the hard work, keeping commitments, and focusing on shared outcomes. This tends to be a deeper desire to work hard and do work that makes the team proud. For example, your action may encourage others to act in the same way. So you should consider the example you set when you make decisions and act upon them. Leading by example increases productivity. So now, what may happen or what will happen when you don't lead by example? As mentioned, whether you realize it or not, you're always leading by example. However, leaders who don't think about leading by example or don't believe they make a big impact may model bad behavior that other employees will begin to follow. My favorite self-composed proverb is that the little bad habit of yours will be your greatest enemy one day. Let's break it down with a simple example. A leader continuously shows up to work 30 minutes late. So his constituents think that arriving at work not on time isn't a big deal. So si leader nga hindi dumadating ng tama sa oras. Okay lang na mali. So paano pa kaya kaming mga members? So that kind of habit will not only affect a single person, it will affect the whole organization. So to be specific, when you don't set a good example, one of the first thing to go is work ethic. Your followers will struggle to perform well if they see you performing poorly. Second is one of the quickest thing that kills workplace mood is poor leadership. It's challenging for employees to feel satisfied and motivated if they don't have a leader they trust or they can trust. Next is hiring and training is one of the most costly parts of a business. Employees who answer to poor leaders have a higher rate of trump, meaning many of the employees or exceed the expected will quit in the organization. Number 4 is inefficient system. Leaders who lead by example show their teams how to do things faster and better. They demonstrate system thinking and a continuous improvement mindset. But poor leaders don't take time to teach their teams on how to be efficient. They don't demonstrate how to take a critical view of system and processes. Employees look to their leaders for clues about what is actually valued or important in the organization. When leaders don't model safe behavior, teams learn that it is not a priority. Without a good role model, teams may miss or ignore important workplace safety trainings. This can lead to costly mistake and workplace accident. So when you don't lead by example, this will only cause more workplace accident. Last is lack of trust and respect. Employees question leaders that don't lead by example. They struggle to trust their manager's decision and leadership style.
Good day everyone, I am Clarice Arenas, the next discussant, and I will be discussing the encourage confrontation and ethical deviation. So in order to attain optimum efficiency and develop a positive corporate culture, organizations often attempt to create an environment of conformity and teamwork. So deviant behavior can happen in almost in any size of organization and destroy the effort. Thus, there is a need to encourage confrontation and ethical deviation to resolve such issues and avoid further conflicts that may arise. So now let's talk about what is ethical deviation. So ethical deviation, also known as workplace deviation, which refers to the behavior of violating societal or organizational norms. So there are various facilitators of deviant ethical behaviors. So for example, in a corporate setup, employee may work slower if they feel overworked. Also, if employee experience financial pressures, they may turn to corrupt activities. And besides, dishonesty and offensive leadership culture may create workplace gossips. And whatever the reason, workplace deviance can have a negative impact on the work environment, and productivity declines as a result of feeling of contempt and undervaluation among employees. A loss of business is the outcome. And now let's move on to the forms of deviant ethical behavior. So the first one is employees demonstrate disrespect. Interpersonal deviance is when employees are disrespectful to the coworkers, clients, and superiors. So example of this is being impolite, using disrespectful words or acts, as well as physical intimidation such as yelling, breaking things, or slamming doors. And these things is typically occurs at the workplace or office. The second one is there is poor management. So a deviant boss or management team can make employees miserable. When difficult deadlines or tasks are given to employees, morale goes down and other workplace problems ensue. So this is also referred to as organizational deviance. And it often happens when someone pursues an action that he knows will threaten the other person, such as a boss continuously asks an employee to perform tasks completely outside his job description. Third one is employees are stealing. So stealing occurs when an employee takes property from an associate or credit for a coworker's idea. And the fourth one is employees are tardy or absent. So consistent tardiness or absences shows a lack of commitment. So if an employee repeatedly makes excuses or rolling in an hour late to work, or your employee disappears during the day or of hours, he is being deviant. His physical absence can cause other employees to fall behind on their work and miss deadlines and become resentful, explain insecurity. And addition, as you committed for being a public servant or an employee, you should always do your responsibility, especially in your daily schedule of time work. And do not interrupt for daily tasks, since some paperworks need to be accomplished right away. And the fifth one is employees are aggressive. Another form of workplace deviance is intimidation. It might take a form of berating an employee, using personal aggression to scare or motivate, or sexual harassing an associate. So for example, in some case, a supervisor might purposely criticize an employee in front of others as a way of embarrassing the employee. And this form of deviance hurts morale, creates employee anxiety, and destroys trust. And the next one is abuse of property. So employees who abuse company property are committing deviant acts. Employees that violate corporate policies by using company vehicles for personal purposes, damaging company property, or vandalizing workplaces are a few examples. So property deviance is demonstrated when employees take business property home, such as office supplies, and neglect to return items they have borrowed from the company. And the next one is company politics. So the game of company politics occurs in many workplaces and can be considered a form of workplace deviance. So example, an employee may spread false rumors or gossip about another in an effort to gain a promotion or more favorable work assignment. And supervisors who unfairly favor one employee over another or prevent deserving employees from career advancement are also guilty of committing a deviant act. And employees who regularly engage in gossip sessions can have a negative impact on employee morale. And the last one is abusing the flexibility of working from home. So workplace deviance can occur when employees misuse the freedom they get working from home. And unethical employees may fabricate the number of hours worked to get paid more than the employer. So employees who are responsible for keeping track of the number of hours they work are guilty of workplace deviance if they pad the time sheets. To address ethical deviation, there are some methods of addressing some ethical issues in the workplace. So the first one is introduce a policy. So most large companies enforce codes of ethics that clearly state the definition of the punishment for employee misconduct. and these documents provide information about a company's mission statements and philosophy, and they define the standard to which employee must hold themselves. However, companies should revisit these codes of ethics from time to time to accommodate new trends and changes in national practice. And when it is time to update the code, managers should solicit buy-in from the employees to get insight into the issues people on the ground face every day. By including everyone in the process, managers and executives demonstrate the value of the entire team. The second one is provide resources and education. This may include literature or multimedia presentations explaining the importance of the changes or icebreakers, games that demonstrate acceptable behavior, or workshops with experts in the ethics field. So when business leaders amend their codes of ethics, they may see pushbacks from employees who refuse to change. More often than not, this results from employees not understanding how to implement these changes. However, just because they may have a tough time adjusting to new practices does not mean they are completely incapable of doing so. In addition, employees can effectively implement this program by explaining the rationale behind them, including what is necessitated, the changes, and how they will improve employee relationship and how they will benefit individual workers. And when employees actually understand the importance of ethics in business culture rather than simply going through required motions, they are more likely to fully comply. The third one is employ a confidential system. So managers should set up a confidential system for reporting ethical violations. And although employees may understand that they will not suffer repercussions for blowing the whistle, they may still hesitate to do so for fear of alienating their coworkers, and nobody wants to be known as the office tattletale. So to alleviate this issue, managers should set up a confidential system for reporting ethical violations. Similarly, managers should handle discipline confidentially to protect the privacy of those they need to confront. And most importantly, supervisors should never punish an entire team for the action of one or two workers. And the last one is be consistent. So once manager implement a system of dealing with ethical issues in the workplace, everyone must adhere to the policy exactly as detailed. Having a strong code of ethics helps a business prevent the erosion of trust within or outside of its walls and contributes a financial success and security, which makes good business sense. So when employees sign the new policy indicating their understanding and pledging their compliance, they agree to hold themselves to a higher standard and to face the consequences of not doing so. So employees must agree to hold themselves to this same standard, and if either side compromises the agreement, the system will fail. Company will never completely free of misconduct or disgruntled employees. However, supervisors can implement policies to minimize the number of ethical issues in the workplace. By training those who are willing to learn and terminating those who are not, employees can make a workplace safer and more enjoyable for everyone.
Good day, everyone. I am Cristal Joyce P. De Leon, and together with Ms. Jessica Clasio, we will be discussing the training programs in ethics and social responsibility. You might wonder about the essence of studying this topic. You may say that we already know about the basic ethical and moral standards that should be followed since they are taught in school. However, it is no longer the same once you are in the workplace. There would be several temptations, leading to question your personal convictions. Furthermore, once you are hired, you will be representing the name of your organization, which also means a great responsibility to handle. These are some of the reasons why undergoing such training programs in ethics is important. and we will discuss it further as we go along with our presentation. The first training is in ethics and code of conduct. The finest workplace environments are built on ethics and code of conduct that rewards hard work and dedication in workers. In light of this training program enables you to effectively inform your staff about the company's ethical principles, the manner in which you want them to treat one another, and the values on which the business is founded, and other ethical standards that they are required to uphold. As I have mentioned earlier, employees represent the organization. So in order to prevent damaging your company's reputation, this program will assist you in doing so. Included in the list of topics of this program are diversity and inclusion, integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional conduct, and many more. The second one is anti-bribery and anti-corruption policy. As a manager or leader, you never want anyone in your organization to be accused of bribery or corruption. The chance of such events occurring in the future can be reduced by assessing the risk of bribery and corruption before making recruitment. This training will teach you and your staff how to make sure that your team is always performing lawfully. Additionally, it will explain bribery and corruption so that your workforce is aware of what constitutes improper conduct. This is important since there are many various forms of corruption, including collusion, extortion, embezzlement, insider trading, and others. If you can effectively educate your staff on this matter, they will be able to make ethical decisions and assess the risk of bribery and corruption no matter where they are. The third one is the ethics training for the workplace. In this training, employees are challenged to assess their own ethical beliefs and explore how they may strengthen them to make their workplaces more ethical, which puts a new spin on the ethical conduct. By engaging in this program, your team will be able to define ethics and ethical behavior, uphold excellent professional ethics, comprehend and adhere to a code of ethics, and ensure effectively that they abide by these policies. Employees, especially in the government sectors, requires to act with the independence of appearance, meaning to say, they shall avoid any misconduct that may result in losing the trust of the public and live with their name as the public servants. Indeed, they shall maintain their integrity and never let their decision be influenced by anyone who has secret motives. Next is the ethics training program for supervisors. One of the many duties that come with being a member of the management team is upholding ethical principles. It also helps to educate employees at all levels on what is expected of them while representing the company. This program, designed for managers and supervisors, covers the essentials of workplace ethics training. As one of the leaders inside the company, they are expected to properly supervise their staff and correct any misconduct that they would notice. Turning a blind eye in this situation would not only put the persons involved in the possible downfall, but the whole organization. Which is why engaging in this program is very necessary, as this will help supervisors develop the ability to promote ethical choices and identify unethical actions and behaviors from their workers. Some of the behaviors that this course covers include time theft, abusive conduct, denial, and others. The fifth one is conflict of interest training. The major cause of ethical ambiguity is frequently workplace conflicts of interest. The methods for assisting employees identify and prevent conflicts of interest at the workplace can be effectively conveyed during this training. A conflict of interest occurs when a person or organization loses credibility as a result of conflict between personal or self-serving interests and responsibilities under professional commitments. When a company or individual has a strong interest, such as financial gain, position, experience, personal connections, or reputation, the objectivity of their actions, judgment, or decision-making is called into question. Moreover, ignorance is one of the causes of these conflicts. Unfortunately, it is often not an excuse. The best method to ensure that your personnel abides by ethical standards is to inform them of what constitutes a conflict of interest, as failing to do so can negatively impact employee morale, output, and the overall profitability of your company.
Good day everyone, I am Cheska Enclasio and as mentioned a while ago by Miss Cristel, I am the discussant for the remaining training programs in ethics and social responsibility. So the sixth one is ethics training and certification. It is always important for us to know and to learn ethics no matter what field you are. And in order for us to do the right things that could help the organizations in achieving its goal, ethics training and certification could help us on how to effectively construct an ethical guidelines. And one major benefit of having an ethical guidelines is that it guides the organization. It guides us to do the right things and to have a healthy working environment which is good for the betterment of the organization. So the seventh training is the banking ethics. There are only few courses or trainings that are specifically geared in the financial sector. And when talking about finances, I know it is a bit hard to handle because there are a lot of temptations and other factors. And banking ethics is a way that led the financial professionals with the laws in their field. And we as a financial management student, it is an essential thing for us to understand this training because it helps us in gaining knowledge about the laws in our field, which is the financial industry. And in simple terms, this training equip you and your team to properly navigate the tools of ethical waters that lie between the financial industry and the law. The eighth program is online discrimination training, harassment training, and sensitivity training. Harassment and discriminations are two aspects of ethical compliance that all employees must know everything about and should be fully complied if you want to have a safe and productive workforce. This training will help you to create an ethical culture of respect, inclusion, and civility by training your employees and managers on what's acceptable behavior to prevent discrimination and harassment in your organization. And imagine an organization that has discrimination. All employees, all managers would feel unsafe and it will definitely affect their performance. And if that case happens, it will also reflect in you as a manager, and not only from you, it will also affect your company. You as a managers, you don't want to have a low performance from your employees. So this training could really help you to have an improvement and progress for your company. The second to the last training is race, gender, and workplace equity. Your team should be educated in the matters of racist and gender inequality, which is sometimes a problem to a particular organization. Everyone should be treated fairly no matter what or who they are. And in this training, they will be able to understand and avoid racist and discrimination and build a safer and healthier work environment. And also, doing your job as a team could help your company to achieve the organizational goals easier. They could also produce a higher productivity rate in your workplace. The last program is social media policy. Social media became the most popular means of communication and entertainment, especially when the pandemic hits us. Businessmen, entrepreneurs, and other business or big companies use social media to earn, to sell, and to reach their audiences. And social media policy training will help us to become a social media literate. Your team must be aware of the social media policies just to make sure that you are not violating any rules when posting something, especially on the social media. And having a knowledge on social media would not only help your employees or the managers in the company by protecting their information, but it will also protect the company itself because this training will teach us on how to protect the company information in social media. Only one line that I can say about social media on how to become a social media literate. Um, Always think before you click.